Listen to me. Life will hit you. I'm not talking about a soft jab or a gentle push. I'm talking about getting knocked down so hard it feels like the breath was sucked right out of you. I'm talking about moments when your dreams collapse, your heart shatters, and your soul screams, I can't take any more. I'm talking about being broken, shattered into 1,000 pieces by betrayal, failure, loss, pain. But I need you to understand something right now. You're still breathing. And as long as you've got breath in your body, you've got power. You've got fight. You've got fight. You've got another round in you. You see, being broken doesn't mean being buried. Being broken doesn't mean being beaten. It means you've been tested. It means you've endured. It means that life hit you with its best shot and you're still here. So stop letting the cracks define you. Stop looking at your brokenness like it's the end. Some of the strongest things on this planet are formed under pressure. Steel is forged in fire. Diamonds are created through crushing heat. And you are being refined. You are being molded. You are being prepared for your next level. But I get it. When the nights are long and the pain is deep, it's hard to believe in tomorrow. It's hard to rise when everything inside of you is screaming, stay down. It's hard to fight back when you're tired of fighting. You've cried, you've questioned, you've begged for the storm to end. But storms don't last. Seasons change. And what broke you will not bury you. Let me tell you something the world won't. They won't clap for you while you heal. They won't cheer when you take small steps. They won't see the internal war you're fighting every day just to keep going. But you know what it took just to get out of bed today. You know the weight you carry behind that smile. You know the fire that's still flickering inside of you, even if it's down to an ember. And that right there, that fire, that's all you need. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to feel strong every moment. You don't need to see the full path ahead. You just need to take one step, then another, then another. Crawl if you must, bleed if you must, but don't you dare stay down. Because every scar on your body, every wound in your heart, every tear you've cried, they're not signs of weakness. They're marks of a warrior. They are proof that you've been through hell and didn't stay there. They're reminders that you've battled demons in the dark and lived to tell the story. You are the survivor of a war nobody else saw, and that makes you unstoppable. Now let's be clear. Rising again doesn't mean going back to who you were. You've outgrown that. You've seen too much. You've learned too much. Rising again means becoming someone stronger, someone smarter, someone who doesn't break the same way twice. Someone who doesn't let pain define their purpose, but fuels it. Because pain is a powerful teacher. It reveals your limits and then dares you to go past them. It shows you what matters. It teaches you how to fight, how to stand, how to love deeper, how to live fuller. Some of you listening right now, you're in the middle of your breaking. You feel lost. You feel forgotten. You feel like nothing you do is working. But I need you to do something. I need you to silence the lies in your head telling you you're not enough. Silence the voices that say you're too broken to be fixed. Silence the past that keeps whispering that you'll never make it out. And listen to your breath. That breath is your power. That breath is your fight. That breath is your reminder. I'm still alive. I still matter. I still have a reason to rise. Now rise with intention. Rise with grit. Rise with every ounce of strength you've got left and then some. Because the world doesn't need perfect. It needs real. It needs fighters. It needs you. Scarred, flawed, and unstoppable. You're not here by accident. You're not breathing by mistake. You've got a mission. You've got a purpose. And that pain you're carrying is connected to someone else's freedom. Someone out there needs your story. They need to know it's possible to be broken but still breathe. To lose everything and still rise. To fall 7 times and get up 8. So stand tall. Not because you haven't been knocked down, but because you got back up. And when they ask how you did it, you tell them this: I was broken, but I didn't quit. I cried, but I didn't stop. I bled, but I kept walking. I doubted, but I didn't surrender. I was broken, but I was still breathing. So I rose again. Let that be your legacy. Not perfection, not ease, but relentless resilience. Because that is what makes you powerful. That is what makes you dangerous. That is what makes you rise again and again and again. Pain is not your prison, it's your preparation. That's the truth most people run from. Because pain doesn't feel like a blessing. It feels like punishment. It feels like loss. It feels like something went wrong. But listen, what if pain was never meant to break you, but to build you? What if the thing you're crying over today is the same thing that's going to make you unshakable tomorrow? What if the pain you're in right now is shaping you into the version of yourself you're going to need to be in order to handle what's coming next? See, people want the promise, but they don't want the process. They want the elevation, but they don't want the fire. You can't ask to be great and not expect the grind. Pain is the price of becoming. It's the weight you have to lift to grow the strength you'll need. If you never felt pressure, if you never felt heat, if you never had moments that broke your heart, challenged your worth, or tested your character, you wouldn't have the capacity to lead, to love, or to last. Look back at your life. The moments that hurt the most, the nights you thought you wouldn't make it, the betrayals, the losses, the disappointments, that was the furnace. That was the stretching. That was the sharpening of your soul. You didn't come out of that the same person. You came out wiser, tougher, and more focused. You found out what matters. You found out who's real. You found out how to walk alone. You found out how to lean on faith when nothing made sense. That wasn't the end. That was the making of you. Pain doesn't come to destroy. It comes to reveal. It exposes your weakness, yes, but only so you can strengthen it. It brings you face to face with your fears, not so you can be crushed by them, but so you can conquer them. You don't grow on the mountaintop. You grow in the valley. You grow when it's dark, when you're doubting yourself, when everything is falling apart and the only thing holding you together is a whisper that says, keep going. That's where champions are born. That's where warriors are forged. That's where legacies are written. So stop seeing your pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. You want to inspire? Then walk through something worth telling. You want to lead? Then first learn how to survive the wilderness. You want to impact people? Then you better know what it's like to be impacted by life and still rise. The world doesn't need more perfection. It needs proof. It needs proof that you can lose everything and still find yourself. It needs proof that the fire didn't kill you, that the darkness didn't drown you, it deepened you. There are people walking around right now in chains you've already broken. But they'll never know how unless you open your mouth, unless you tell your story, unless you own your journey, not just the glory, but the grit, not just the triumph, but the trauma. And you don't need to have it all healed to speak life. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, I'm still healing, but I'm still moving. That's what pain prepares you for. The courage to be real, the strength to keep walking, the humility to lift others while you limp, the vision to see beauty in your bruises. Pain teaches you what comfort never could. It teaches you to depend on something deeper than applause. It teaches you to dig into purpose when everything else has been stripped away. It teaches you how to endure, how to adapt, how to overcome. You begin to realize the breaking wasn't personal, it was intentional. It was tailored to your calling. It was the weight that would push you into your next level. It was the disruption that would lead to your development. It was the soil your greatness would grow out of. You are not defined by the fall, but by the fight to rise. Every person walking this earth will fall, but not every person will get back up. Falling is inevitable, but rising is a choice. It's easy to look at your lowest moment and believe that's who you are. It's easy to let shame wrap itself around you, to let regret sit heavy on your chest, to let the voices in your head tell you that you'll never recover, that it's over, that your worth was buried the moment you hit the ground. But that's a lie. You are not the mistake you made. You are not the chapter you regret. You are not the time you lost or the tears you cried. You are the fire that's still burning underneath the ashes. You are the will to fight that keeps showing up, even when everything inside of you says stay down. People will try to define you by your failures. They'll point to the moment you cracked, the moment you broke, the moment you lost it all. They'll want to freeze frame you in your lowest place and say that's who they are. But they don't know what it took just to survive. They don't see the inner battles you're fighting. They don't feel the weight you carry behind your silence. The fall isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your comeback. The ground is not your home. The failure is not your identity. It's just the backdrop for your rise. The fight to rise is what shapes character. It's what builds resilience. It's what separates the ones who merely exist from the ones who overcome. It's not about how many times you've fallen. It's about how many times you refuse to stay down. And I'm not talking about some overnight comeback. I'm talking about that long, painful climb where nobody's clapping, nobody's watching, and nobody believes in you but you. I'm talking about the moments where you have to dig into places inside yourself you didn't even know existed. I'm talking about getting back up, even when your knees are shaking, even when your heart is heavy, even when your past keeps screaming your name. You earn your power not by pretending to be perfect, but by refusing to be defeated. That fight to rise, every time you choose to try again, every time you take another step, every time you look at your pain and say, you won't define me. That is power. That is greatness. That is where your true identity is forged. Not in the applause, not in the spotlight, not when things are easy, but in the grit of the struggle, in the silence of the process, in the mess of the middle. People who rise again don't do it because they're stronger than everyone else. They do it because they've made a decision. They've decided that failure isn't final. They've decided that their destiny is greater than their difficulty. They've decided that their purpose is too big to die in the dirt. And once you make that decision, something shifts. You start walking differently. You stop waiting for validation. You stop living in fear of falling again because you've already tasted rock bottom and lived to tell the story. Falling humbles you. It teaches you that you're not invincible, but rising teaches you that you're unstoppable. It teaches you that no matter how far you've fallen, you can build again, dream again, breathe again. The fall was never meant to be the finale. It was the fight that would awaken everything inside of you that had been dormant, the strength you didn't know you had, the courage you hadn't tapped into yet, the hunger that comfort had numbed. When you rise, you reclaim your power. When you rise, you rewrite your story. When you rise, you declare to the world and to yourself that you are more than what tried to break you. Every breath you take is proof that your purpose still lives. When life knocks you down and everything feels like it's slipping through your fingers, it's easy to believe that you've missed your chance. that your calling has expired, that whatever you were meant to do has already passed you by. But the fact that you are still breathing means that purpose still runs through your veins. It means there is still work for you to do. It means that despite the loss, despite the pain, despite the regret, you are still chosen for something greater than the moment you're stuck in. You don't wake up every morning by accident. There is no randomness in your breath. Life isn't a mistake. That air in your lungs is permission. Permission to try again. Permission to heal. Permission to rise. So many people don't make it to today. So many stories ended before they had the chance to turn the page. But yours didn't. That means something. That means you're still in the fight. That means the author of your story isn't done writing. That means there's still more for you to see, to give, to learn, to build. When people give up, it's not always because they're weak. It's often because they've forgotten that breath is a signal. They've forgotten that breathing is not just existing, it's living on purpose. The enemy wants you to believe that if you're not where you plan to be, your purpose has no value. But purpose doesn't expire because of delay. Purpose doesn't die because of detours. Purpose lives as long as you do. And sometimes the most powerful act of faith is just to wake up and say, I'm still here, so I'll keep going. There are days when everything around you says quit. Days when your own mind turns against you. Days when the weight feels heavier than your strength. But if you can still take a breath, you can still take a step. Even when the steps are small, even when you can't see the path, even when all you can do is survive the next minute, that breath is proof. Proof that your mission isn't finished. Proof that your story isn't over. Proof that your life still matters, even if it doesn't feel like it today. You don't need to have all the answers to have a reason to move forward. You don't need to feel strong to be strong. You don't need to understand the why to trust the what now. If breath is in your body, then potential is in your bones. If your heart is still beating, then destiny is still unfolding. You're not behind. You're not broken, beyond repair. You're not forgotten. You're in process. You're in transition. You're in a chapter that feels uncertain, but the story isn't over. Breath is life's way of reminding you that hope hasn't left. It's the whisper in the silence, the strength in the sorrow, the quiet push when you feel like letting go. You might feel like you've wasted time. You might feel like too much damage has been done, but breath says otherwise. Breath says restoration is still possible. Breath says you're still worthy. Breath says purpose can be resurrected from the ruins. You are not breathing just to exist. You are breathing because there's impact in you. There's greatness in you. And even if you don't feel it today, it doesn't make it any less true. Just because the world hasn't seen it yet doesn't mean it isn't there. Just because you haven't walked in it fully doesn't mean it's not waiting on the other side of your perseverance. So don't take your breath for granted. Don't treat your existence as an accident. Don't let pain rob you of purpose. There is something in you that needs to be released. A message, a movement, a mission. There are people waiting on what's locked inside your survival. You are breathing because your life is not finished. You are breathing because the world still needs what only you can bring. Scars are not shame. They are signs of survival. When you look at your life, at the pain you've endured, at the wounds that marked you and changed you, it's easy to feel like you have to hide it. Like you've got to cover it up, pretend it never happened, put on the smile, move like you've never been broken. But what you don't realize is that those scars are not a weakness. They're proof you made it through what was meant to destroy you. They are not reminders of failure. They are reminders of the battles you won. You didn't walk out clean, but you walked out standing. And that says more about your strength than anything else ever could. Scars tell stories. They speak of pain, yes, but more than that, they speak of perseverance. They speak of healing. They say I was hurt, but I didn't stay hurt. They say I was broken, but I didn't stay broken. They say I was broken, but I didn't stay broken. The world may never know what it took for you to keep moving forward, but your scars know. They remember every night you cried yourself to sleep and still got up the next morning. They remember the days you felt like quitting but showed up anyway. They remember the moments you questioned your worth, your future, your purpose, and still chose to believe there had to be more. People try to hide their scars because they think if others see them, they'll be judged, looked down on, seen as damn. But what if your scar is the thing that gives someone else hope? What if the very thing you're trying to cover is the proof someone else needs to know that they're not alone, that survival is possible, that healing is real, that pain doesn't get the final say? There's somebody watching you who's fighting a silent battle, wondering if they're strong enough to make it through. And when they see your scar, your story, your resilience, they realize they can keep going too. You didn't survive by accident. You were preserved for a purpose. And the scar is the receipt. It's evidence that life hit you hard, but you hit back harder. It's proof that you've walked through fire, and though you may not look the same, you came out stronger, wiser, tougher, more compassionate, more grounded. The pain didn't make you bitter, it made you real. It made you understand the power of endurance. It taught you what it means to keep loving, keep fighting, keep living, even when it hurts. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to be ashamed of what you've been through. Every time you tell the truth about your struggle, your comeback, your scars, you remind people that survival doesn't look perfect. It looks human. It looks raw. It looks honest. It looks like a scar on your heart, but a fire in your spirit. It looks like a limp in your step, but a fight in your soul. It looks like you still standing, still pushing, still believing. The scar means you're healing. It means the wound didn't stay open. It means you did the hard work of recovery and you're still doing it. Healing is not a straight line. It's messy, it's slow, it comes in waves. But with every scar, you reclaim your power. You take back what pain tried to steal. You stop living as a victim and start walking as a victor. Not because everything is perfect now, but because you found the courage to keep showing up, to keep building, to keep trusting that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. Your scars are sacred. They carry weight. They carry wisdom. They carry the truth that broken things can still be beautiful, that healing is not the absence of pain, but the presence of strength. You don't need to erase your past to create your future. You just need to own it, walk in it, and let your scars remind you every day of the battles you've already won. Your comeback will always be stronger than your breakdown. The world sees the breakdown and assumes it's over, but they don't see what's happening beneath the surface. They don't see the sleepless nights, the prayers whispered through tears, the journal pages filled with doubt and grit, the mornings you got out of bed when everything in you screamed to stay down. The breakdown is loud, it's dramatic, it makes headlines in your mind, but the comeback is built in silence and solitude, in the trenches, where no one is clapping, where no one is cheering, where it's just you versus everything trying to keep you broken. The breakdown can make you feel like it's final, like everything you were building just crumbled in your hands, like your dreams slipped through your fingers, like you're too far gone to recover what was lost. But what you don't see in that moment is that the breakdown isn't the end, it's the reset. It's the clearing of the old to make way for the next level. It's the moment where your strength is refined, your focus is sharpened, your hunger is reborn. You don't rebuild by staying the same, you rebuild by becoming more. The comeback isn't about proving people wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about realizing that what's inside of you didn't die in the fire. It was just hidden in the air. The pressure you feel isn't to destroy you, it's to prepare you. The isolation you feel isn't to punish you, it's to develop you. Every setback is setting you up to come back stronger, wiser, more aligned, more locked in. Your breakdown didn't break you, it woke you up. It exposed what needed to change. It removed what couldn't go with you. It humbled you, refined you, and reminded you of your why. No one claps for the seed while it's buried in the dirt, but that's where the roots grow. That's where the foundation is formed. That's where the strength is built. Your breakdown may have buried you, but it didn't kill you. You were planted, not buried. And everything trying to hold you down will one day have to witness you rise from the same ground you were crushed in. That's the power of the comeback. It doesn't just restore you, it elevates you. It teaches you how to walk with scars and strength, how to move with both pain and purpose, how to speak from experience, not just theory. Your comeback is your proof. Proof that the fight was worth it. Proof that the storm couldn't drown you. Proof that the darkness couldn't steal your light. And you don't have to wait for it to be pretty to call it. Power. Sometimes the comeback is messy, it's slow, it's full of detours. But every step forward is momentum. Every step forward is a decision not to let the breakdown win. People may only see the end result, but you'll know what it cost you to rise. You'll know the tears behind the triumph. You'll know the nights you had to encourage yourself because no one else could. It's in the comeback that you discover your voice. It's in the comeback that you find out what you're really made of. Not when everything's perfect, but when nothing is and you still choose to rise. That kind of strength doesn't come from success. It comes from survival. It comes from being at rock bottom and still believing in something better. It comes from standing in the rubble and deciding to rebuild anyway. The comeback is where you take back your story. The comeback is where you rewrite the ending. The comeback is where you remind yourself that no matter how hard you were hit, you still had more in you. And the truth is, your greatest influence won't come from your victories, it'll come from your recovery. People connect to your pain more than your perfection. They want to know not just that you made it, but how you made it. And when you rise again, you don't just rise for you. You rise for everyone who thinks they can. You become the evidence that comebacks are real, that healing is possible, that breakdowns don't have to be permanent graves. They can be the beginning of something greater than you ever imagined.